I hope you enjoyed some of the resources I shared with you about the Lean Startup methodology through Steve Blank's Udacity course. Next, we're going to talk about the Lean Startup movement throughout the nation and how you and your campus can plug into some of the resources that are available. I first learned about the Lean Startup movement through this guy, Eric Ries, whose book, The Lean Startup, was number 3 on the New York Times bestseller list for several weeks. He's in the Bay Area, and he started writing about how you should create a minimum viable product for any kind of software startup that you're thinking about advancing, even if it's just screenshots and some basic interface to get it in front of a customer and get some validation for your hypothesis about how they'll use it, what they'll find important in the feature set, what feature set to eliminate, really profound stuff for software development. And subsequent to that, I learned about a gentleman named Steve Blank, who also happened to be in the Bay Area. This is Steve, and this is his Udacity class. You just watched a couple of segments of his work. And it turns out that he and Eric worked together. I think Eric was a student of Steve's. And he has really helped take this movement to the next level with the help of the National Science Foundation, who is funding the I-Corps program. And the I-Corps program is something that you should be aware of. Any National Science Foundation funded grant on your campus has the ability to apply for a $50,000 additional grant to help them think of ways to commercialize that technology. So there are over 300 teams, scientists, a graduate student, and an entrepreneurial mentor from the community who have gone through this intensive Lean Launchpad training and really transformed the way they're thinking about their science and its applicability to mankind. A number of teams have actually really solidified their value proposition and launched successful ventures as a result. And so in DC, you have the National Science Foundation, who is funding a number of locations called I-Corps sites and I-Corps nodes. So here's my crude map of the United States. Here's Steve and Eric in the Bay Area. Here's the National Science Foundation funding I-Corps nodes and sites. And so Michigan is a I-Corps node. Georgia Tech is an I-Corps node. UMD is an I-Corps node. I believe there's one called UCSF at University of California, San Francisco. And there are probably others. I just happen not to have a list with me. And there are a number of I-Corps sites. So the I-Corps nodes are where I-Corps grant recipients go to be trained, and I-Corps sites are other recipients of NSF funding to take the Lean Launchpad coursework and apply it to a variety of other opportunities and scenarios, whether it be exposing undergraduate students through the typical engineering or entrepreneurship coursework, or any other such opportunity. So the Lean Startup movement really gained even additional traction when the Harvard Business Review posted an article by Steve Blank, Why the Lean Startup Changes Everything. So even Harvard is saying the Lean Startup is really going to change the way we look at startup ventures, and I happen to agree. One thing that you should know of is that business plan competitions, they suck. They're entirely around the old model of student teams and ventures developing thick business plans that are oftentimes not validated by customers or vetted in any way, shape, or form. And so a new phenomenon is the business model competition, where students are actually tested for their ability to think about the business model and to vet venture ideas. And the cool thing about this is that students who are judging the ventures are actually starting to think with an investor lens and are coached on the sidelines by venture capitalists and other equity investors on the type of criteria to look for in a deal. So this is also extremely powerful, and this is the kind of thing that you can bring to your campus as well. There are a number of workshops that you can bring to campus, like 3-Day Startup out of Austin. A bunch of graduate students started this company that we've been partnering with to offer an online course immediately following fellows training. Stay tuned for that. But they also come to your campus and it will help you deliver something in person to your campus audience. And your faculty, many of whom are not entrepreneurs in and of themselves, who want to help train students to have an entrepreneurial mindset, can come to something called the Lean Launchpad Educators Workshop, which is funded by the Engineering Pathways to Innovation, the Epicenter, through the NSF-funded, the NSF grant that Epicenter has started on. And it's delivered by NCIA and Steve Blank and his team of colleagues, Jerry Engel and others. And these are held all over the country. I believe the next one is in the Bay Area. So I urge you to tell your faculty about that, because that is a great opportunity to adopt some skill sets and tool sets that will allow students and faculty across your campus to be better versed in the Lean Startup movement. Whoops, I forgot to also mention that the Lean Startup movement is also being advanced by a former University Innovation Fellow, Trevor Owens from NYU, who now is the head of Lean Startup Machine, and he's bringing workshops all over the globe and all around the country as well, but also to corporate settings like the US Postal Service, who we all know really needs some reinvention. So that's out of New York City, but really all over the globe. And I just want to say that regardless of whether you plan to start a venture and be entrepreneurial, join a startup and have an entrepreneurial mindset, or join a company, these are tools and skill sets that corporate innovators really need to possess. So you'll be amongst the ranks as you are an intrapreneur in those settings, bringing the Lean Startup methodology to corporate America.